I'm gonna play devil's advocate. I don't believe this, but
Don't be the devil, but
You say you don't believe it, but you gonna.
oh no, look, I could argue any side of the equation, but if you're gonna stand on that side, wouldn't that speak to all of the dudes that say then the men that have means, the men that are successful, that aren't married, that don't have kids, to take up, a woman that has kids to be able to give her guidance and be able to raise kids to avoid all of the stuff that it is that you're talking about now. My point of what I feel like is I think a lot of times women celebrate that, especially now as women are having kids later, for the groups of women that are having kids later, that it's like this sigh of relief. Okay, I've had a child now. And now, when it comes to finding a relationship or being married, there's a lot less push or a lot less like urgency about it because I have a child already. I didn't do it right, but I have a child, and so now I don't have to put the game on speed when the man comes around that I feel like is suitable for me. So I know those are two different things, but like I feel like what you're saying though speaks to the people that say, hey, if a man has money and has this, because most men end up living life and not having kids, so they should be able to help and benefit somebody in some
most
type
men
of
do
way.
not live life and don't have kids.
Well, if you look at the statistics of it's what 51% of men from the ages of 18 to 65 that don't have kids.
I
Are
don't
you
know
trying
where
to
you
say
got,
it
I
would
don't know
be?
where you got that from, but I
The
don't.
census.
I'll have to look up the stats specifically, but I don't think that most men go through life and don't have kids.
Well, Anton, you can't go ahead and have it both ways. If we already saying if it's a small number of men that are having all of the kids,
Mhm.
right? If it's a small number of men that's having all of the kids, then it has to be then a larger number of people that only are having one child or none at all.
Correct.
So then that would mean the majority of men end up not having kids.
That's not necessarily true. Two things can be true at the same time, right? Because ultimately, a lot of guys wind up having children later in life.
Sure, absolutely.
So the we're saying that they have the majority of the kids, right? But it's not a one for one. So I'll give you an example. If this guy go over here and he have 9 kids, but then I go over and I have one kid at 40, he's still having the majority of the kids. You see what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
He's still populating the majority of the community. I'm a one for one,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
but he's a 1 for 9. So it's still true. Two things can still be true at the same time.
It was a study that was done.
A small percentage of the community is still populating the majority of the women.
A lot of studies will take you out of the equation because you married. I'm talking about as far as
Exactly.
folks,
So the context matters.
yeah, a lot of people would take you completely out of the equation. We talking about folks that's not married.
Either way,
Yeah.
the fact of the matter is, and I'm not sure where the devil's advocate is because I don't know where the.
The second part of that is what I more so believe. I feel like a lot of times once a woman has children, is this pressure to have kids as a woman. And everybody I think wants to do it right, but if they so happen to have a child and they're not in a relationship and they don't see a future with the guy, okay, cool. But now the push for them to actually get into a sustainable relationship to have a better environment for the child, you don't see that being the push. But they'll push to get into a relationship to have a child, and if they could do it right, they'll do it. But if once they don't, then it's not the same type of urgency.
But
At least is
again,
what I
I'm not
see.
sure what the. I'm still not sure what the devil's advocate part is.
So are you are and correct me if I'm wrong. Are you saying that more black men should become sacrificial
Yeah, I don't
lambs for
believe
these
that. That was the
women?
devil's advocate part
Oh,
that
okay,
is
okay,
talking
got it.
against what it was that he was
Okay,
saying.
yeah,
See, I can't.
because
I
Because
can't
like people
argue
like Dr.
against it.
Umar would say, okay, to avoid everything that Anton is talking about, to go ahead and take a woman and her children and put them under the covering
But
and
why
give
would
them.
I listen to Dr. Umar and he got 2 children out of wedlock?
I'm not skip a person. That's why I didn't want to go ahead and push it to a person, but just the thinking that a man is supposed to do that to avoid some of the plights that you've already just mentioned.
I think y'all. I think. Listen. I think y'all should be step crash dummies. I think that step crash dummies is a part of the problem because then you
yeah,
justify
exactly.
you then validate the reason why they feel comfortable doing the shit that they're not supposed to do, and then knowing that you're gonna come and save them at the end anyway. Because then if you the step crash dummy, then they not really being held accountable because they know that you're going to come and save them anyway. So why would they listen? If a woman knew, if you knew what you was going to have to go through as a result and that nobody was going to save you on the tail end, you would make a wiser decision as to who it is that you opened up your legs to and got pregnant by.
Listen. Is there not enough evidence of how hard it is to raise children already by themselves that should deter them?
Listen. We got all the evidence in the world that you have a greater chance of catching an STI or an STD, but the majority of you motherfuckers still don't wear condoms.
All right, now that's switching the conversation. Let's keep it.
What I'm saying is, when people living in the moment, they living in the moment and they don't give a fuck, and then they deal with the consequences as a result of it.
But you can't argue both sides, Tom, because you just said the results should dictate the behavior.
But they're not looking at the results. We don't operate in foresight, right? We operate based off of emotion. And emotion in most instances is a female characteristic. We all have emotions, but we're not supposed to make decisions based off of how we feel.
No, I agree with you all day long.
That girl over there got a fat fucking ass, right? But that don't mean that I'm supposed to go over there and pull her pants down and fuck her right there, because that's called fucking rape. Okay, you know what I'm saying? Like, you can't just go based off of what we feel like. Oh man, I want to fuck her, but then no, that's not logical. I'm gonna ruin my fucking family and I'm gonna go to jail.
Smart gambler.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I
mean, you got to be a smart gambler.
That's why we humans, because we not fucking. Listen, if we were all monkeys, maybe not monkeys. If we were all, you know what I'm saying, lions, then we could just go over there and maul the other clan, take over their women and children, kill all of the children, fuck all the women, and do what we want to do. But we not. We humans. We think. We reason. We supposed to be logical. But the only people that don't is the people that operate based off of their emotion. Most of the time, that's a female characteristic. And when you see guys still seeing it through, that's one of the things that validate the bad behavior and the shit that we're trying to get away from. So now what I've come to the conclusion is that the messages of positivity is not for everybody. It's only meant for the one, right? It's only meant for the 1 or 2 or 3 here that never was taught it, but actually want something better for themselves. You're not going to save everybody. You're not going to save everybody. The only thing you can do is give them the message and hope that it lands on somebody that's actually willing to do the work. And those are the ones that wind up making it out the hood. And then they're going to call you a sellout anyway. So.
And that's the problem. I mean, too many of us have already been sacrificial lambs. We don't need no more lambs. You know what I mean? At some point, it got to stop.
We do need you. All of the sacrificial lambs, we need you.
No.
You motherfuckers are the reason why some of us are going to still stay rich.
We don't need any more baby daddies or baby mamas.
Yes, we do.
No, we don't.
I woke up, right? When I was in...
And I just know I'm not going to be one. That's
I took a nap and I had an epiphany. And I realized that I was actually... Me talking positive and trying to give people game is actually bad for the economy. It's bad for the economy. Because I want y'all to continue to do the worst shit, because I know that it's going to be profitable for us to continue to capitalize off of the dumbass decisions that y'all making.
I mean, I feel like part of what AJ said, you know, it contributes to the problem, because you started off your statement by saying, you know, if she feels like the relationship doesn't work out or that he, you know, whatever may happen is okay, cool. Like, that's a problem. It shouldn't be okay, cool. Like, that's the issue. The hindsight mentality is like, why are you thinking that he's not a good father after the child is here now? Like,
man, I'm only saying that by the number of absent fathers that I see at these baby shower celebrations. The baby shower be lit, but what be absent is the dude that made this baby with her.
But whose fault that he's absent?
Yeah, you got to look at all of that too.
I was gonna say, I don't really believe, you know, coming from a single mother myself, I don't believe the narrative that men are changing when the baby comes. I believe that, you know what I'm saying? Same thing with my sperm donor. You were the same man that you were, and she realized this hindsight now that the baby is here, because now he's actually being who he has always been, but there's a child, and they think that a child, every man has like that instinctive, be a daddy thing, and they don't have that if he wasn't that before.
So everybody
Like,
gambling, playing their feel good games.
No, it's
I mean, but you can't expect him to come to a baby shower that.
So no, but I'm just saying. So then that means everybody's gambling, playing it feels good games.
I don't think
The
it's
majority
a game.
of them are.
You can.
Yeah, they
you can
are.
see,
And another thing, after
I ain't
Cameron,
gonna lie, I'm kind of confused.
another thing is most of these women are still having babies after men say no. And I know it takes two people to have sex. I understand that. I'm not saying that's not true, but half of these children are born as proof babies. Most of these children are being born just to show they had sexual relations with the man. Half of these women aren't even keeping the babies because they really want the babies. They're keeping these babies to prove to the man I have the baby, or if the man was in a relationship, to prove to the girl that they had the baby. Like, half the children aren't even being born out of love. So if you land with a man who don't love you and you having a baby from him, why do you expect him to love your child?